Hello again, college football fans. I am one happy Bama Randy this week for obvious reasons. I must say that after I put out my SEC championship game prediction last week, it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't really remember. But, I was supremely confident coming off the Iron Bowl comeback, miracle victory, and just going into the week. And I've been confident about this matchup all year long. I didn't want to talk too much about the matchup because you have to have respect and pay homage to the week that is ahead of you and to the schedule that's ahead of you. And Georgia wasn't even on our schedule until a couple weeks ago when we beat Arkansas 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I had alluded to it, and obviously my theme about how defenses no longer win championships in college football, and if when an elite offense goes up against an elite defense, the elite offense is going to have the advantage nowadays. I've just seen it too many times over the last few years. I might have been a little bit late getting it. It was around. I can tell you when I decided that the whole defense wins championships narrative was over. Was the year a couple of years ago when I saw Joe Burrow and Brady and all those guys, and Jamar Chase, do what they did. They beat us, and then went on, because I thought Georgia that year, I had totally drank the Georgia Kool-Aid. The great defense. Kirby has taken that fire from what he learned under Saban at Alabama, has taken it over to Georgia. I'm seeing Georgia's defense play the way Alabama's defense played, all those years in the early days of the Saban era. And I just thought that, well, here we go. Burrow, our defense has taken a step back since Pruitt left and, Kirby Smart left for Georgia, Pruitt left for Tennessee, and then we were left with, Tosh 0 there for a year, and then Pete Golding takes over for him the year after, and it's just never looked quite the same. And I thought that, well, here we go. Here we're going to see it, and the old defense wins championships formula is going to work. And then, they ran up against the brick wall that was Joe Burrow and got it handed to him. And then I saw what Patrick Mahomes did following Super Bowl later on. And that was another just illustration of how if you've got the best offense and you've got it rolling, you cannot orchestrate and architect a defense that is good enough anymore, to do it. And it may have always been this way. I think coaches have always known that if you can get the best quarterback and great receivers for him to throw to, that is unbeatable if he's dead on, the whole day. But just making that happen was too difficult. Coaches want to be able to control as much as they can control, and to be able to repeat things. It's like an experiment for them. They want it dependable, repeatable. And the best way to do that, and the best way to win championships, and the best way to get repeatable, dependable, good performances week in and week out has always been defense and running game. And I think it was, the rules have had a lot to do with it. I harp on the rules changes. The TV people and the rules people have been getting together for decades now to make it more and more difficult to defend a quarterback in a passing game, and easier on the other side to execute those sort of things. So rules have had a lot to do with it, but personnel has a lot to do with it too. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, there was a handful of guys that could play quarterback at that kind of a level. And even then, it wasn't to the level that they're playing now. I remember when Peyton Manning was the gold standard for an elite type college football quarterback. And I remember those days, and I remember him, coming into Birmingham in 1995 and just ruining my whole year, it seemed like. And then they went on a run and beat us, 6 or 7 years in a row. And so those things leave indelible prints into, young minds. Like, I think I was 13 at that time. And but Peyton Manning he didn't make throws like Joe Burrow made, or like Bryce Young has been making, which are just, perfect back shoulder throws. And they can do it, 4 or 5 times a game. They can throw those perfect throws. I mean, quarterbacks didn't used to be able to do all this kind of stuff, and receivers didn't used to do this. They didn't grow up going to camps from the time that they began playing football as little boys, going to quarterback and receiver camps and learning all this kind of stuff. You just had athletic kids, and you threw them out on a field, and, defense it's very easy to just put 11 uber athletic kids out on a field and give them a nice defensive scheme, and they can look dominant. Offense is so specialized and so based on timing and rhythm and everything. And, we've always heard growing up that, if you throw the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. But nowadays, the chances of a guy dropping a ball are so much lower than they used to be. I mean, it still happens, obviously, but I mean, back in the day, a coach would think, hey, give me a quarterback handing it into the breadbasket of a running back, and, that's how we're going to control the clock, and that's how we're going to win football games. But nowadays, getting great elite offenses together and getting them to do elite things on a consistent basis has become, it's what's happening now. And so, I think Nick Saban began to realize that several years ago when he went out and got Kiffin. And Kirby Smart, I don't know what his problem is, because I know he's not an idiot. You don't get to where he is being a moron. I think it may be a little bit of stubbornness. I think that Kirby has said to himself, well, damn it, I am, just the defensive guru that Saban is. He was my mentor for all those years, and I've got the fire and the passion. I can go out there and do this. I can win with defense, even in this new era of offensive football that we've entered into. And I really do believe if he didn't learn his lesson Saturday, then you might as well, begin the process of getting a new coach over there at Georgia, but I just can't believe that he didn't learn his lesson Saturday. I mean, if JT Daniels is not, if he didn't go to JT and Stetson after that game and say, guys, we're making the change going into the playoff, JT will be taking all of the first team reps, and the offensive plan against Michigan will be as JT, we're going to make that based on JT being our quarterback. If he's not doing that, if that conversation hasn't already been had, and if that's not the plan going forward for them, then I don't know what to tell you over there at Georgia. And Georgia fans, we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of pathology surrounding sports fandom. I mean, it's ugly. We know how bad we feel when we lose, and we know how good we feel when we win. And we want that feeling, and we know that in order for us to get that good feeling, other people are going to have to get that horrible feeling from losing. And it's ugly and it's mean, but it's just part of being a fan. But, after the games are over, I will say I do feel for you guys. That has got to be about as disappointing as it gets. I mean, it just felt, and I got wrapped up into it. I was about to say this earlier. I was very confident when I made my pick, 28-17, which actually it turned out to be even better than that. And I will be honest, the offensive line thing took everybody by surprise. It totally shocked me. It was like a magic trick. It was like, is that an offensive line, or is that a rabbit that has just come out of a hat? Because that hasn't been there all year long. I mean, we all knew that they were uber talented. All Alabama players are uber talented, especially on the lines. Every coach knows that's where you start the foundation for a team, is on the lines. But so we knew that the athletes were there, but they just could not seem to get it together. They couldn't seem to find the right combination of guys in the right spots, and they've just been giving up sacks. And like I said in the preview video, Bryce has been running for his life all year long, so that's pretty much what I expected. And I figured that in order for us to win that game, we'd have to get a lead and hold on to it. We'd have to put Georgia's offense behind the 8 ball and keep them there the entire game. But all we needed was 60 minutes, man. I mean, all we needed was a full 60 minutes of football to go out there and prove that with Bryce Young, that was the difference, And it's like I said earlier, Georgia struggled so much against Clemson, and I thought to myself, well, imagine if Clemson had Bryce Young at quarterback. How would that game have gone? It probably would have looked a lot like this game that you saw Saturday. And I had gotten wrapped up in the narrative because, the TV folks want so badly for it to be more interesting. And I know everybody is just so fatigued by Alabama at this point. And not only because you don't want to see the same teams win every year, but the way we do it, because we killed feel-good stories. I mean, we're a mercenary coach full of mercenary players that are there to get the job done and to get themselves to the NFL. And Saban does such a great job of instilling in them that the way to get to the league is to come in and be the best team that you can be the best team player that you can be, because that's what they want in the league. They don't want showboats. They don't want, prima donnas. Sometimes you have to, sometimes guys are so good you have to deal with those kind of attitudes. But that's not, they want Tom Brady. They want guys that are going to go be the ultimate team player, that are going to work their butts off, outwork everybody else, consistency. And that's what Alabama brings to the table. I heard Kirk Herbstreit saying something at game day, saying something about he just didn't believe that Georgia could lose because of that brotherhood. Oh my Lord, when people start talking about things like that, about brotherhood and togetherness and blah 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 blah, I'm sorry, man, college football is not Rudy anymore. It is not. And I lament that as much as anybody. At Alabama, we talk about Bear Bryant, mama called, he was an alum, and it was a beautiful thing. And college football used to be about student athletes and about spirit and school spirit and rah-rah and all that great stuff. And it still has those elements of it around. I mean, there's still fight songs. There's still, they are still universities and they are still technically students. But come on, folks. It is not what it was 50 years ago. It started to enter into a pro-type model about the time that I got into it, about the time that the SEC championship started. They had the Bowl Alliance thing, trying to figure out, okay, this is not going to be, you go to the 4 bowl games and they're equally great, and then we'll leave up the champions to the sports writers. We'll let them decide that kind of stuff. They decided we're going to take more of a pro model. This is going to be about winning a championship, and that's what it is now. It's completely about winning championships. And the way you do that is boring. The way you do that is outworking the other people, having the best players. I know that everybody wanted so badly for Stetson Bennett, the little lovable walk-on, to come in there and pull it off. But we live in a cruel, real world here. And if you want your team to win championships, you're going to have to put the best players that you have in the best spots. And, I mean, I've said it all year long, Kirby's making a mistake by not putting the most talented guy at quarterback. And he's done it again, and if he hasn't learned his lesson by now, he probably never will. I think he has, and I think you'll obviously see JT Daniels as his guy going forward. Has to be, right? It has to be. But, and that being said, if I was better at it being a YouTuber, I would make a clip video of me saying all the things I've said going through the season about Georgia, about the, how offenses no longer win championships and the things that you have to do to be a championship team. I would do a little clip of that, just showing how correct and dead on I've been. And go back and watch the preview video. I pretty much, the score wound up being higher, more points scored, and a little bit bigger margin of victory than what I predicted. But, all the things that I said, came true. And I'm still very shocked at how little of a chance Alabama was being given in this one. I mean, everybody really got wrapped up in the whole Georgia hype, man. It happens all the time. It happens every year, but it seemed to be this year it just seemed to be a little bit more of an extreme version of everything. I mean, the Iron Bowl was the most extreme Iron Bowl that you could ever imagine, and this little narrative. And I call these games green light games. And the reason I call them green light games is because everybody acts as though that there isn't a stark reality that has to be faced. That, Georgia, that this is just, Georgia's paid their dues. Alabama's been on top for so long. It's time for somebody. It's somebody else's turn That's not the way the world works. We don't go on turns. That's children playground stuff. Somebody has a turn, and somebody's idea of fairness being executed. That's all fantasy. Fairness, it's somebody's turn. That is fantasy, okay? In the real world, you have to take what is yours. And Nick Saban knows that. Alabama knows that. Alabama fans, that's why we went out and got Saban. We knew that it wasn't about mama. We tried that mama called crap. We tried it with Shula. We tried it with Perkins and all the Bear boys that we tried to get. And Mike, can't believe I've forgotten his name. Mike Dubose. Had a brain fart there. But, we learned our lesson that feel-good stuff doesn't work if you want to win at the highest levels and keep winning at the highest levels. You got to get mean and down and dirty, and you got to go out there and take what is yours. And I'm afraid now that Georgia is going to be very, very dangerous. To be honest, I am not looking forward to... Cincinnati's great. They broke the ceiling and are getting to go, and I'm not worried about that game at all. But it's going to be tough for us to win another national championship this year. Going forward, this video is starting to get a lot longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right now. And I think I may do a part 2 video to this, because I just, now that the season is basically complete and we're going into the playoff and the bowls, I just have a lot of things on my mind, and that's what this channel is about for me. And thanks for watching to this point, and there'll be more to come soon. Thank you.